Have you ever caught yourself saying sorry and only realized it after the word had already left your mouth? Sorry for texting. Sorry for asking. Sorry for needing a minute. Sorry for being too quiet. Sorry for being too loud. If you actually counted how many times you apologize in a single day, it might surprise you. And here is the uncomfortable question most people never ask. What if your apologies aren't just politeness? What if they're protection? The psychology of people who always say sorry isn't really about manners. It's about conditioning. Because for some people, sorry isn't an apology. It's a reflex, a shield, a way of lowering themselves just enough to avoid friction. And here's what makes this confusing. The people who apologize the most are rarely careless or selfish. They're usually the most considerate people in the room, the most self-aware, the ones who notice subtle shifts in tone, micro-expressions, awkward pauses that others completely miss. So why do the most emotionally attuned people act like they're constantly at fault? The answer usually isn't weakness. It's history. Over-apologizing doesn't suddenly appear in adulthood. It often begins in environments where emotional safety was unpredictable, homes where moods could change without warning, where love felt steady one moment and distant the next, where a small mistake could create a big reaction. In those environments, children learn something powerful very early. It's safer to take the blame than to risk escalation. It's safer to soften yourself than to stand firm. So they start apologizing before anything even happens. Not because they're guilty, because they're trying to keep the peace before it breaks. This is what walking on eggshells feels like. You scan the room before you speak. You measure your tone. You read energy shifts like weather forecasts. You shrink just enough to avoid becoming the problem. And sorry becomes your quiet signal that says, I'm not here to disrupt anything. I won't make this worse. Please don't be upset. Here's the paradox. People who over-apologize are often deeply empathetic. They anticipate discomfort. They try to smooth situations before they escalate. From the outside, it looks like insecurity. From the inside, it feels like responsibility. But empathy without boundaries slowly turns into self-erasure. Because when you constantly apologize, you quietly reinforce a belief. My presence is a problem, unless proven otherwise. There's another layer beneath this, hyper-responsibility. When someone feels responsible, not only for their own actions, but for everyone else's emotional state. If someone is quiet, it must be my fault. If there's tension, I should fix it. If someone is irritated, I probably caused it. As a child, this can develop when caregivers were emotionally volatile, when conflict was unresolved, when repair didn't happen after rupture, or when emotions were treated as burdens instead of experiences. The child adapts. They become agreeable, careful, apologetic, not because they're weak, because they're trying to stay safe. And here's something most people don't talk about: fear of anger. For many chronic apologizers, anger wasn't safe growing up. Not theirs. Not anyone else's. Anger meant yelling, or silence that lasted for days, or emotional withdrawal that felt like abandonment. So they learned to neutralize it quickly. Apologies became emotional fire extinguishers. Even now, as adults, their nervous system hasn't caught up. They're not in danger anymore. But their body still reacts like they are. There's also something quieter beneath all of this. Self-invalidation. Instead of saying, that hurt me, they say, sorry, I'm being sensitive. Instead of saying, I need space, they say, sorry, I'm probably overthinking. They translate discomfort into politeness. They convert boundaries into apologies. But pain doesn't disappear just because you apologize for it. It just turns inward. Over time, chronic apologizing trains the brain to associate existence with fault. You feel guilty for resting, for saying no, for setting boundaries, for asking for clarity. And here's the subtle danger. When you constantly apologize, Some people unconsciously accept the narrative that you are the problem, even when you're not. What started as self-protection slowly becomes self-betrayal. So what's the way out? It's not about never saying sorry again. Apologies matter when they're genuine and necessary. The shift is learning to pause before the automatic response. Instead of sorry for replying late, try thank you for your patience. Instead of sorry for asking, try I have a question. Instead of sorry for taking up space, try nothing at all. At first, this feels uncomfortable. Your body might tense. Your mind might whisper that you're being rude. That reaction isn't proof you did something wrong. It's proof you're breaking a pattern. Healing over apologizing means teaching your nervous system a new truth. You are not responsible for managing everyone else's emotions. You are not wrong for having needs. You are not difficult for setting boundaries. You are not a burden for existing. And here's something worth thinking about. If you stopped apologizing tomorrow, who would feel uncomfortable? The people who truly value you don't need constant apologies. They don't want you smaller. They want you clear. If you say sorry a lot, understand this. You didn't learn that habit because you're weak. You learned it because it once kept you safe. It was adaptive. It was intelligent. It worked. But survival strategies don't have to become lifelong identities. The next time sorry rises automatically, pause for a second and ask yourself something simple but powerful. Did I actually do something wrong? Or did I just forget that I'm allowed to be here?